Hello and welcome to Chaos Child, a little known psychological horror mystery visual novel developed by Mages Incorporated, also known as 5PB, I think. And it's part of the Science Adventure series, which, if you know, for example, Steins Gate, it's made by the same people, basically. It's in the same, fictional universe, but not really all that. Not super related, it's not directly related, but it's somewhat loosely connected. And, I guess it's also mentioned, how I stumbled upon this game in the first place was the fact that there was an anime called Chaos Head. It's an adaptation of another visual novel, which was this game's prequel. Sort of. Again, like thematic prequel. Not directly related, but somewhat related, but it is its own standalone story. But what happened is that I watched the anime, which was it was a really bad idea because the anime adaptation of Chaos Head apparently was really bad. I liked the premise, but by the end I was like, man, it's so trash. And again, the visual novel's better, but my experience is already ruined because I already watched the anime, And the same thing happened with Chaos Child, I guess. But I'm not making the same mistake twice, so I'm not watching anime adaptation this time. I'm going through the visual novel instead, and hopefully that'll be a better experience. Because I don't remember much about Chaos Head. I just remember it's bad. But Chaos Child is definitely gonna be like a blind playthrough. And hopefully it's good. I've heard it's good, so that's why I'm going to play it. And also want to mention there was a fan patch, I guess, by the Committee of Zero. I think it's like an unofficial fan localization patch that fixes a few things, and namely a part later on that wasn't really translated in the official release properly. So probably a good idea to put on the unofficial fan translation as well, or at least it's not like an entire patch, but it's it fixes a few things basically. Yeah. Anyway, I guess let's just start. New game. Ba-bam. It's November 6, 2009 AD, 10:28 p.m. It came without warning. Big city, I assume it's Japan. Obviously, I think I mentioned it was Japan. And everyone died. Oh, the end. Well, it was a magnitude 7.8 earthquake, with an epicenter directly under the city. The only knowledge I know about earthquakes is an anime. I think it was an anime called 8.0 earthquake. And the way the magnitudes work is kind of like exponential, right? And to give, I think it was 8. I could be wrong, but to give context though, a magnitude 8 earthquake leveled in the entire city. So there you go. Probably 7.8 is close to that. This disaster reduced one of Tokyo's busiest downtown areas to nothing in a single night. There you go. The high-rise buildings that had birthed so many trends and fads collapsed, as if giving up on their role in society. Black fires spread through the city as individuals fell into the grip of the crowd's psychology. Their terror was magnified. Combined, all of these things took many lives. The final death toll was 3,851. The final number of injured, 30,927. This event would later be known as the Shibuya earthquake. Even in all that destruction, people still suffered the most in their hearts. Some who had lost their families came together to share their new resolve, while others, have been forced to watch their friends die, were driven by guilt to take their own lives. As a baby was miraculously reunited with his parents after 72 hours, A child in an evacuation shelter asked her dad, "When's mommy coming home?" He had no answer. Some of the wounded made it to hospitals by looking at real-time updates on the web. Others saw people on the internet talking about the disaster as if it were a movie and were driven mad. A homeless man was saved from malnutrition by an organized volunteer group, but at the same time a middle school boy punched a self-centered volunteer who had come to Shibuya to find himself in the face. It was the first time in that boy's life he'd ever been violent. The psychological toll was incredible, and many of the survivors would later manifest symptoms similar to those associated with PTSD. Okay, interesting that because I actually launched the game before just to test out the volume levels and everything. The PTSD was highlighted. I mean, it's obvious, but just give an example. Sometimes certain words are highlighted and give you like a little thing, to tell you what it is, I guess. Post-traumatic stress disorder, right here. I mean, I think most people know what this is, For example, soldiers coming home from like a war, after suffering a lot of trauma. Oops, no. I always forget, escape is not... I gotta right-click. Right-click or backspace, I guess, to go back. Because escape is like exiting the entire game. It's not what I want. Yeah, that was highlighted. I think that's in STEINS game. It was also like certain words are highlighted, just in case you didn't know what the definitions were, which is nice. Sometimes certain terms are like quite obscure, so it's nice that they give you a definition. The young were hit the hardest. Before long, the cause of those symptoms was given a name: Chaos Child Syndrome. Ah, yes, name drop already. Chaos Child Syndrome. Rebuilding happened at a feverish pitch never seen before. It felt inappropriate to say, "hang in there," but people felt that somebody had to do something. The new slogan was "Shibuya, a city reborn," and no amount of money or manpower was spared in aiding the endeavor. The whole town was in the grip of a fever. In private, a leader of the redevelopment efforts said, "This may sound unkind, but this frenzy feels like a town burying its grief by holding a festival." Building codes were rigorously evaluated with an eye toward earthquake engineering. Perhaps in an effort to emphasize the city's safety, security cameras were put up all over town. Shibuya would become a place where everyone could live in peace. But at the same time, a rumor began to spread about the earthquake. Something about this earthquake doesn't make sense. There were no aftershocks, and the damage was spread in a strange way. Harajuku and Ebisu, areas only a kilometer away from Shibuya, suffered a few casualties and even fewer collapsed buildings. This damage pattern had never been observed in any prior earthquake, and so more than a few pundits claimed the Shibuya earthquake must have been artificial. More than anything, some of the survivors all said the same thing, like as conspiracies. "I saw a white light. I heard the sound like a ringing in my ears." Too many people experienced this for anyone to laugh it off. But no cause of this phenomena was ever found. It was just more evidence to those who believed that something about the earthquake had been wrong. Then, 6 years after the strange earthquake in 2015, something else was about to attract attention in the reborn city of Shibuya. Okay, so this is a little prologue, I guess. I believe it's a reference to the first game, Chaos Head. But again, you don't need to really go through Chaos Head to understand Chaos Child, as far as I know. In fact, I don't really remember much about Chaos Head. I remember the premise being very good, and it went downhill really fast, at least in the anime. Again, the visual novel was probably better, but, I can't really go through the visual novel now since I already watched the anime. But let's see. September 7th, 2015, Sunday night. And well, the biggest... Okay, voice acting. From Man, I guess. But I guess the biggest draw of, Chaos Child, and I guess technically Chaos Head as well, they share a mechanic. And it's called, Delusion, I guess? A Delusion mechanic? I think it's called Delusion Trigger? Something like that. I heard about it. But yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why I was interested in this visual novel is the delusion mechanics. And I guess we'll see what it is later on, probably. We'll see. It's interesting. The second he spoke, the comment box started to fill. Otani Yuma watched it for a few seconds and then saw the request. When does Haru tell us she's dating somebody? He smiled to himself. Just what he wanted. Most of the requests were about hot actors or cute idols. His audience was so stupid that it was easy to tell exactly what they were gonna ask. And oh yeah, well, Haru is, let's see, that was also like highlighted before when I tested the game. Just for like, a few minutes. I went to like this part, I guess. Where is it? How do I go back? I'm stuck on this entry. Do I tab? Okay, well, okay. I don't know, that was so difficult. But Haru, apparently she is Haruko Natsuno. She's fictional, 19 years old, a minor celebrity. Became famous as a result of her bold declaration that no one her age knew as much about retro games and retro anime as she did, and her ability to back that declaration up on internet radio live streaming programs. I guess she's a streamer. Wears glasses, her plain clothes, and hairstyle are said to be one reason she's popular with otaku. Regularly holds recordings of internet radio shows are open to the public. She's a podcaster, streamer girl. Amazing. But apparently she's fictional? I don't know what that means. Like, fictional as in her name is fictional, or is she like, Miku Hatsune, basically? I don't know. The problem was always whether the name that came up was someone he knew. That was a question of luck and of how popular they were. But Haru, her full name was Haruko something or other, she was fine. Just a few days ago, he'd forced himself to go to an event he'd rather have skipped and seen it for himself.
Yes.
Otani Yuma. Satisfied, Otani got up to get some snacks like he always did. He lived in a one-bedroom condo located 8 minutes from Shibuya Station. Cost 150,000 yen per month. Pretty expensive. It had been built after the earthquake, so the furnishing and layout were modern. And also, this kind of reminds me of the prologue for Hollow Ataraxia as well. But anyway, a little more room would have been nice, but compared to the 40,000 yen per month place he lived last year, it was heaven. At 21 years old, Otani felt satisfied for the first time in his life. In 4th grade, he got big into online gaming and stopped going to school. Eventually, he'd stopped leaving his room altogether. Then he got addicted to drugs that made him sleepy but did nothing else. Once seeing only darkness in his future, he planned to commit suicide. Wow, I mean, his life made a big turnaround in that case. He's living like in a condo, and everything by himself. In the chaos after the earthquake 6 years ago, he finally managed to leave his room, but his family had already given up on him. Especially after, he didn't even he dropped school and everything. Yeah. After he failed his entrance exams, he went to live on his own in Shibuya, and he hadn't spoken to his parents since. As far as they knew, he failed exams 3 times in a row. In fact, he hadn't even gone to the tests after the first time. There wasn't anything he wanted to learn in college, or any companies he wanted to work for badly enough. I mean, yeah, I would agree. As someone who went to college or university, whatever, it's better to know what you want to learn first before you go in. Otherwise, you end up like me, basically. Where I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. But anyway, he had no goal in life at all. Well, same. I emphasize with that at least. But things were different now. I guess at-chan. I guess that's 2chan. I guess I'm gonna look at it real quick. 2chan. Everyone knows 2chan, right? Another message board. I guess fictional. I guess fictional in the sense that it's not real life, I guess. Because I was thinking like fictional in like within the game itself, but I guess fictional as in like, you know, compared to like our life, I guess. Everything from hacking to nice dinner. At Chan. Again, a reference to Chan, I guess. He took a block of cheap cheese he bought at the supermarket out of the fridge. Usually, he never ate anything this cheap. Well, I like cheese. Sometimes sometimes I like to just eat just cheese. Sometimes. But on Nico Nia live streaming, it wasn't just what you said, how you looked when you said it also mattered. Okay, Nico Nia probably is a reference to Nico Doga, which is like, you know, basically the equivalent of YouTube in Japan. Otani wasn't a good-looking man, let alone a cute girl. He was just a plain old guy. And so to keep his program popular. Wait, plain old guy? Isn't he like 21? Unless I misread it. Like, he's 21. He's not old. I'm older than him. Anyway. He needed to make them think that he was poor, barely managing to scrape by, in fact. That's why he kept the area around his PC and the parts of his apartment that you could see with his webcam completely plain. Last month, he finally reached his goal of 4,000 viewers. Ah, yes, so he's a streamer. 4,000 viewers? Man, I mean, I think, again, he's like, made quite a big turnaround, you know? Compared to, like, the fact that he's like, he was a hikikomori, he dropped school and, like, did a bunch of drugs. I mean, I didn't do any of that, and I don't have 4,000 viewers. Maybe I should, you know? Maybe I should just do that. Maybe then I'll get 5,000 viewers. For a man with nothing going for him like Otani, this was extremely unusual. I guess I'll just have to, like, you know, drop school, even though I already finished school. Gotta do some drugs, and just be a shut-in, you know? I guess I'll just do that. Maybe then I'll have... be like Otani. 3 months ago, he guessed the winners of a popularity contest a certain idol group was holding, as well as their total number of votes. That must have really paid off. After that, his numbers had been going up steadily. Late last month, when his streams had appeared at the top of Nico Nia's page, he had seen a huge increase. Right now, he got above 4,500. It was quite possible he'd break 5,000 by the end of the month. Yeah, I mean, those are really good numbers, especially in Japan, you know, technically, because in YouTube and, you know, Twitch, whatever, it's much more skewed because, you know, it's more like in the Western world, you know, North America. Japan is much more smaller, technically, so 5,000, that's quite a lot. It was around late last night when he started to wonder about his power. His power? It was a certain rumor on one of the Achan's occult boards that made him really start to realize what he had. The name he'd chosen for his stream suddenly reflected this. Today I learned I can see the future. Nani? He took out a knife to cut the cheese, I guess. Yummy, yummy cheese. There was a strange sound.
Huh?
He thought he just imagined it when... Knock, 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 knock. He heard it again. It was coming from the door. Someone was clearly knocking on his door.
Mitsurin-ka?
Mitsurin? Amazon? Okay, that's probably a reference to Amazon, if I had to guess. Suspicious, he walked toward the door to answer, then checked the clock. It was 11:41 p.m. Not exactly normal delivery hours.
なんだよ。つか、生放送中だっつうの。
I'm streaming right now. I mean, I guess. He tried to ignore it. I mean, he really is me, but, well, he could have been me, I guess, in an alternate life, in an alternate timeline. But the knocking continued. It was the same rhythm at the same pace. As if the visitor's goal wasn't to come inside, but simply to make that sound. Though, well, I mean, for me anyway, when I order stuff at Amazon these days anyway, I think it's better to just put it at the post office. It's very inconvenient actually. If you live in an apartment anyway. Maybe if you live in a house, like a nice house or whatever, then it's better to get deliveries from Amazon. Otherwise, if you live in an apartment, it's just so inconvenient because they got to go through the front door and everything, and depending on, I guess, depending how fancy your apartment building is. But usually, my deliveries just don't end up coming here, because they can't go through the front door. Anyway. Altani felt a bit creeped out. He decided to go to the intercom camera and see who it was, but then realized that would be pointless. Only the auto-locking door on the first floor had a camera. The door to Altani's room on the fifth floor had an intercom but no camera. Altani gave up.
くせつか用ならインターホン押せよ
Okay. Man, intercoms. Is that like a normal thing? Like, buildings, like apartment buildings have like just intercoms? I don't know. Though the knocks were too steady for that. And there was no voice yelling at him to open up. Like maybe for the front, he mentioned like the front, but also intercom like for your own place. I mean, that's pretty fancy, I feel like. He's seen this door a million times, but suddenly it looked somehow different. Someone he didn't know was on the other side of the wall, demanding entry in the middle of the night. Somehow this made the door seem intimidating. Otani thought he might look through the peephole to see who was outside. He was then disgusted to find himself even too scared to even get close to the door. Wait, the intercom didn't have a camera, but it did have a microphone. He turned toward the living room so he could use the intercom and find out what they wanted. Otani, it's me. Sorry to come by so suddenly. Okay, that wasn't voice acted though, I don't know who that is. He stopped when he heard that voice. It's me. I'm very sorry to bother you at this hour. Oh, Tani tried to remember who the speaker was, but found he couldn't. But from the tone of the voice and the words, they probably were the weirdo. I don't know. When they said, I'm sorry, it sounded like they really meant it. Come inside. Old Tani sighed softly with relief and then realized he was still carrying the knife he had been using to cut cheese. It suddenly felt stupid to feel so nervous. He quickly laid the knife on top of the sink.
はいはい、今開けます。どちら様ですか
It's me. Don't you remember? Remember me? And then opens helmet. No. The voice simply repeated itself. But who are you? Latani whispered to himself as he opened the door. It's me, smile. Otani narrowed his eyebrows at the people standing there. He looked them up and down and then looked at their faces again. Their eyes met.
あんたら、どこのどなた
Otani suddenly felt a piercing headache. Otani closed his eyes and put his right hand up to his temple. He could feel the blood pounding in his veins through his fingers. He staggered and quickly put his other hand against the wall to keep from falling over. The pain was like the old days, but he'd overdosed on antidepressants, but much more intense. He gritted his teeth against the pain and dug his nails into the wall that was holding him up. As he waited for the pain in his fingers to help dull the pain in his mind. Mr. Otani, are you okay? He heard a voice he heard many times before and felt a concerned hand on his shoulder. He somehow managed to ignore the pain and open his eyes. A worried face was peering down at him.
ああ、大丈夫。最近たまにあるんだ。
Overwork, perhaps? You've been so busy lately. You shouldn't push yourself too hard.
相変わらず心配性だな、お前は。大丈夫だよ。さあ、入ってくれ。
He opened his mouth as wide as he could and moaned, trying to ease the pain. As he let his important guesses inside. Okay, weird. As he turned his back on his guests, he told himself that it had been a long time since he'd seen them. Or maybe not. It could have been more than 2 months since they last met. It only felt long because he wanted to see them so badly.
そうだ。せっかく来てもらったのにすまん。生放送中なんだよ。
Yeah, I'm streaming. While he was out here, he decided he would cut some cheese for himself and his guests. Oh, don't worry about us.
いや、お前ら相手にそういうわけにもいかないだろう。ん？
What's wrong?
いや、なんでもない。
The blade wasn't cutting into the cheese. That's strange, he told himself as he pushed down with more force. He cut into its surface and it made an unpleasant sound he never heard before, but no matter how hard he pushed, he wouldn't go any further. Confused, he yanked the knife back and forth like a saw, but only cut in slightly deeper. It was as if there was something hard inside the cheese. And even though he only taken it out just the fridge, it was slightly warm.
くそ、なんだよこれ。
Irritated, he slammed the handle of the knife against the cheese. But all he did was bash it in a little. He couldn't cut through it.
ふざけんなよ。
I'll help you. His guests must have heard the sound because they rushed over. They had another knife. When did they get that out? There's a trick to cutting this thing. I wonder if they're still cutting cheese, quote unquote, but they put the knife up against the cheese and began to move it with a practiced hand. It sounds like your work is going well. They smiled at Otani, their voices slightly low. Otani realized that they were trying to keep their voices from being picked up by the streamer microphone and lowered his voice as well. You see, I'm streaming this little visual novel called Chaos Child. He grinned and nodded. His guest has introduced him to a firm that handled advertising space for popular websites, which has been giving him regular work. His reputation had quietly spread throughout small web advertising industry, and soon he was getting more and more offers.
流行を予想することが肝なこの仕事は転職だよ。出来レースみたいなもんだ。
Then why do these streams?
一言では言いづらいな。強いて言えば、自分がどこまでいけるか試したいみたいな感じなんだけど。
That's right. His power wasn't meant to be wasted on jobs that anyone could do.
誰も経験したことないから誰かに聞くってわけにいかないだろ。だから自分でやれるだけやってみたいっつうかってかっこよすぎかこれは。
No, it's wonderful, I think. And done. After he'd smacked it a few times, the cheese was a little funny looking, but the even slices were lined up neatly on the plate.
悪いな、働かせて。
It's nothing. Go on. I'll wait until your stream is finished.
ああ、冷蔵庫の中適当に見繕ってくれていいから。ああ、静かにな。
Otani took his cheese back to his seat and saw a flood of comments reading, "He's late, man. Did he log off?" What should have been only 3 minutes had turned into more than 15. Otani put a bite of the cheese in his mouth and began to chew loudly.
申し訳ない。この安売りセールしていたチーズがありえないくらい硬くて。
He apologized to the camera, remembering to keep up the act of being poor and starving. Okay. Is that okay? Okay, I guess he was referencing that. Is that how he gets donations? You know, seems a little like, I guess, disingenuous, but is that the right word? I don't know. Deceptive, I guess. Anyway, as he hoped, the comments started to come in. Oh, this is the Nico Dogat comments. Extreme. Stop it. Disgusting. It's making me train Hollywood. I can tell, lol. Report it.
Hmm?
Also, we got a tip thing? What was it? Actually, I kind of missed it. What was it? A W? Oh, that's not. Okay, well, obviously, yeah. WWW means lol. Did it say that? Or maybe it was localized and we didn't see any W's. I didn't see a W, actually. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I missed it. Old Tiny's face took on a confused expression. Because normally, you know, WWW is like a reference to Warui, I think, or Warate? Warate? Was it? Oh, Warui is bad. Warute is laugh, right? Or something like that. I don't know. It's like a reference to the Japanese word for like laughter, you know? It starts with like a W, technically. The comments were strange. He thought there might be something on the camera, but he turned around and saw only his fake pour room.
どうしました?
He spoke into the camera, but the comments still didn't make any sense, and they're coming in faster. Maybe there was a problem with the camera. He reached his right hand out toward it. In an instant, his headache was back. I guess... Well, we'll see, I guess. You know, maybe he wasn't cutting cheese. It was the same as before, no worse. He closed his eyes and jerked forward, banging his head against the desk. But the pain in his head was so bad he didn't even feel it. He tried to hold his head in his hands, but for some reason, his right hand wouldn't move. I wonder why. So instead, he pushed his other hand up against his temple. It felt squishy. The vein was incredibly swollen and it felt like rubber. And each time he felt his blood pulse through it, there was an unpleasant sensation in his fingers. He stamped his feet against the floor, hoping to find some small escape from the pain. But it didn't even get slightly better. It was then that he realized he was crying. He could feel the tears coming from his eyes. The pain was moving there now, too. Unable to bear it, he opened his eyes. He gasped. Huh? What was his comments? You're sick. Oh. Yeah, this is what a shit show. Lol wrecked. This is so creepy. Okay. I don't see the WWW. Maybe was this like localized as well? I don't know. Oh, he gasped. The whole scene appeared in front of him like some kind of awful magic trick. Oh yeah, he's, I guess. Doesn't look very well. He also has big cheeks. He suddenly heard the sound of something wet dripping on the floor. His eyes reflexively turned toward it. His right arm was gone at the elbow, and a stump was gushing blood. Ah, yes, of course. There was a pool of it on the floor, and the sound he heard was the new blood splattering into it. Old Tani didn't understand what had happened to him. What was going on? He'd just gone to check out on the knock at the door. The pain screamed within him. Any sense of pain in what remained of his right arm was overcome by the pain in his head. He felt nothing from his arm at all, though he saw the blood dripping to the floor. What the hell was going on? He blinked in his aching eyes to function as he looked around the room. On top of his desk, he found the rest of his arm. It was sitting on a plate. At first, it looked like it was still in one piece, but it wasn't. It was neatly sliced into uniform pieces. Each piece was about a centimeter wide, and the slices moved neatly toward his fingers. They sat upon the plate roughly in his arm's original shape. Miraculously, he saw there was no blood on the tip of his index finger. I wonder why no blood on his index finger? I don't know why that's important, but he still didn't understand that was really his own arm. But sheer disgust of what he saw caused him to leap out of his chair. What was this? What kind of prank was this? The contents of his stomach flooded into his mouth. He vomited. Paint fluid splashed against the desk. Nice. Well, you gotta clean that up, buddy. The first thing you should do is like, should probably stop the blood flow, but then call 911, you know? He saw something solid in the middle of it. Or at least, well, actually in Japan, the emergency number is something else. Isn't it like 119 instead? Or maybe something else. I don't know. I don't remember. I think the emergency like phone number is different, obviously, in Japan. Like in different countries in general. It was a thumb. It was covered in bite marks, saliva, and stomach acid, but horribly he remembered it. What? When had he put that in his mouth? In his pain-filled mind, he suddenly heard a sound he never heard before. Each time he heard the sound, the pain in his head got worse. He turned toward the camera, hoping for an answer to what was happening. But of course, there was none to be found. The screen was still filling with comments, but his eyes were too filled with tears for him to read them. Ah yes, blood everywhere. What is he saying? Long rag. I think it's the same comments. This feels fake. Is this fake? Nikonias filled with weirdos. As the whole world turned red, Oton didn't even realize that his lips were turning purple. His lips had turned purple from lack of oxygen, but were stained red with blood from his severed thumb, which he had chewed himself. He tried to fight the pain. He began to fall unconscious, and tears fell from his eyes. The tears seemed pink to him. Otani was weeping blood. He died, still facing the camera. Well, that's too bad. Blech. His guests watched the chain of events unfold, then silently headed for the door. Just before they left the room... Goodbye. They said, as if nothing at all was wrong, and shut the door. Well. God, what the hell? Haha, how fun. Talk about desperate for followers. What an idiot. What an attention whore, you know? Dying for viewers? Anyway. September 19th, 2015, Friday night. Okay, well, there you go. I mean, I guess, yeah, the game itself, like the Chaos series, I think. Well, I say series, only 2 games, but Chaos Child had, you know, has something to do with delusions, so there you go. That's an example, I guess. Too bad we didn't see the arm, you know? We just saw cheese. We saw like a quick glimpse. I don't know if I accidentally skipped it, but you know, I wanted to see his like, you know, his arm neatly cut. But oh well. Takayanagi Momone had finished her concert like always. Or rather, finished her concert. Like always, she stayed behind to help put away the instruments. She even helped clean up the audience seats, even though that was the concert hall's job. Only after all that was done could she take a break. There wasn't much time left before her solo street concert, but she still had to help anyway. Okay, we're just switching to another person. Is she also going to eat her arm? She always been like that. Even if it wasn't her responsibility, she couldn't help but get involved. It was like in middle school, when one of her friends who wasn't as good at studying asked her for test notes. Or in high school, when a girl she knew asked her how to make Valentine's chocolate for a boy she really liked. She stayed up so many nights on her own test grades, she stayed up so many nights her own test grades were worse than her friends, and she didn't have anyone to give chocolate to on Valentine's Day. In the end, it was the other person's responsibility, not hers, but... Ah yes. Takayanagi Momone was, at heart, scared of not doing everything she could, even if everything wasn't her responsibility. The concert today was another big success. Sure, it was a tiny room that could fit only 150 people or so, standing room only, but tickets were 3,000 yen, high for a band with an amateur vocalist like her, and they still sold out instantly. It was bizarre how excited the crowd was. She had heard sobs during the ballad, and during one of the high-tempo songs, the audience had stood up all the way to the back row. Another I'm seeing a pattern here. Another person who gets surprisingly popular out of nowhere Well, hopefully she isn't holding a knife and isn't craving for some cheese. She felt a chill and hugged herself tightly. It's not that her band wasn't popular. They started out in the Nikonia Sang It category and have kept going doing covers of popular anime songs. Ah yes, that's a staple of a lot of channels. What was it when I sang it though? I'm not exactly sure what that means. Sang it. A category tag. Okay, so yeah, that's what it is. So there's anime, gaming, sports. Popular sing song, the video, original cover, original songs, covers, recent songs, okay. You know, it kind of reminds me on YouTube how sometimes there's like super like meme videos, you know, that have nothing to do with the category. For example, like, I don't know, you know, the really like old school YouTube poops or whatever. They will always be put in the education category, which makes no sense, but do so anyway, I guess. It helped that her face, which had earned her the nickname Scarecrow in school, could look really good when she wore makeup. And if all of them put on ridiculous costumes and acted like idiots, some people would enjoy that. Videos of their concerts and performances pulled a decent number of views online, but Takayanagi noticed. The vast majority of the people looking at the videos were people who'd come to her concerts. People who had experienced that insane intensity were going back to the videos to try and feel it again. And Takayanagi knew that they probably wouldn't feel even 1% of it. The ticket prices and audience sizes were one thing, but the strangest thing to her was their eyes. Their eyes pierced right through her, unblinking. They were like pets, totally dependent on their master. The meaning of the lyrics began to take over their lives, and they never even questioned it. Are you like a siren? I don't know. You have magical siren powers? When she first realized that this was happening, she tried to quit the band. Even if she couldn't, she at least wanted to stop doing the live shows where people heard her directly. But the others around her wouldn't let that happen. "Your voice is amazing," they would tell her. They forced her to keep singing, even as the concerts began to terrify her. Takayanagi tried to get out of it, but in the end, she kept giving in. She owed her fellow band members for getting a plain dull girl like her into music. And for a while, part of her managed to have fun, but in the end, Takayanagi lacked a tiny bit of courage needed to break out of the cycle. I don't know, she's too popular now. Suffering from success, hey, I guess. She forced herself to get up and head toward the street concert when she didn't really want to do. She received an email. She read it slowly. She almost dropped her smartphone. I don't know, you don't accidentally crack the screen. She read it again and again, trying to control her shaking hands. It was nothing special, just a simple message about one of the songs she had made. "Good song, keep it up." It's like a very, surprising reaction. So I can imagine maybe she didn't it's scary because she didn't share her phone number to anyone, and somehow someone found her phone number. I mean, that's probably the number one thing, about being popular is, I guess, stalkers. Maybe, I don't know. Takayanagi tried to stop the tears but couldn't, or maybe not. I don't know. This may be something different. She's crying. I don't know if she's crying out of fear or maybe happiness. I don't know. The band will get too many messages like this to count, especially after concerts. She knew it was rude, but to be honest, she was sick of them. Oh, okay, she does not like it after all. But this email address wasn't for her band. It was one for a site where she had anonymously uploaded original songs. In other words, whoever sent this message hadn't come to her concerts. They never heard her voice live or found a strange power, but they had still said they liked her song. Okay, so it's a good thing. Wiping away tears that wouldn't stop, she quickly wrote a response. It's kind of funny. It's kind of like, she's like super famous, or not super famous, but internet famous, I guess. But then, you know, I feel like a lot of popular content creators do this, where they like, you know, they have like a main channel, but then they also have like an alternate channel, you know, where they do other things. I guess because they got sick of doing the main stuff for so long, maybe, I don't know, something like that. Even after she sent it, she kept crying for a while. She hadn't cried this much since the earthquake. Then she stood up. The earthquake. Okay, that was mentioned in the prologue. She took her costumes for the day's concert out of her bag, balled them up, and threw them in the trash. It was a white-caped outfit, worn by some angel character in some dumb anime. Certain fans really loved it, but she didn't care about it at all. She's a fake weeb, oh no. She took a wet towel off a nearby table and violently wiped away her makeup. She was never wearing another cape or putting on makeup to look like an anime character again. Screw cosplay, never again. Never, she said aloud. She realized she was more excited than she'd ever been before. And then she started to realize what she wanted to do. What would happen if she said she was going to quit the band? It caused trouble for a lot of people, definitely. Her band was scheduled to play in the Restoration Festival. But even so, she never wanted to sing at another concert. She laughed and kissed her smartphone. Smooch. That's actually... I feel like that's a bad idea. I mean, especially because you touch your screen so much with your hands, and your hands are one of the, you know, dirtiest part of your body because you keep touching everything, you know. So like, you could get sick from kissing your smartphone. I don't know. She couldn't wait to get home and start fiddling with her music. Over the web, she could really share her music with others. As long as they weren't hearing her voice live, it would be fine. If you just played a recording from a speaker, for example. I mean, that's gonna sound bad though. That's horrible audio quality, you know? Anyway, that's right. She leaves Shibuya, and when she had a few more songs, she could record them and play them at a street concert. That speaker was small enough that she could fit it under her clothes and fool people. Is that how it works? Oh, okay, so that's what she means, like she's gonna record it and then pretend to play. It's kind of like a pre-recorded song, which is weird. Because normally you do that to like fake it, but like fake it as if you're doing better, but actually she's too good, so that's why she's pre-recording it, which is weird, but alright. It would be rude to do the same song every time, so each time she re-recorded at home... Oh, uh-oh. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock at the door. One of the staffers, maybe. Uh-oh. Well, I guess she's dead. She smiled and answered them. Now that she'd thrown away her clothes, her bag was lighter than she'd ever imagined it could be. That lightness made her think about the future. She was happy. Knock, 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 knock. Takayanagi happily danced toward the door, completely ignorant what was on the other side. Okay, I'm gonna skip that, alright. September 19th, 2015, Friday night. Shortly after she finished, she was walking through Shibuya. She had a limp and dragged one leg behind her as if it was injured. Her bangs were unnaturally long, and most of her face was covered by them. She wore a dark-colored dress that seemed to melt into the night, and above it, a bright red cardigan. Her chest, arms, and legs were almost completely covered. Despite the fact that the night was still warm, she wore gloves as it were a sin to show any skin at all. She ran into a couple coming out of a hotel and staggered slightly. Okay. That's her. Well, I don't know. Well, what happened to Takayanagi? I don't know. I think this is a different person. But she didn't even look at the people she ran into. She looked down and disappeared in the streets of Shibuya.
誰？きめえな。
ねえ、今の人の顔見た？
んだよ。
気持ち悪い。何あれ？何？あの目。
Well, chapter 1. Digital native, a right-sider connects the cases. Okay. That was weird. Is that the same person? I don't know. Did Takayanagi just somehow turn into a white-haired waifu? I don't know how that happened. Or is it someone else? I can't tell. No. It's chapter 1, I guess. Let me just... no, I don't do that. No. I always accidentally press escape. Because I always think that was pause. Like a full save just in case. You know, you never know. There you go. No, stop it. I keep pressing escape. Stop doing that. Anyway, we are Miyashiro Takuru. For example, let's say you ask the kid in middle school, do you know what Schrodinger's cat is? Yes, I've heard this a million times in a lot of different games. Most would say yes, or I've heard of it. Or start by eliminating the DQNs who say they've never heard of it. Are we gonna explain Schrodinger's cat again? I've seen it in so many stories at this point. A lot of anime type stories tend to love the Schrodinger's cat for some reason. What's DQN? I don't know what that is though. Japanese net slang. Pronounced do-kyun. Used to refer people who are dumb. Okay. Next you ask, well, what is it? Next we eliminate those poor fools who say, it's something about a cat in a box, right? Or there's this cat, but you don't know if it's not alive or dead, right? Or maybe they say there's a cat in a box, next to it there's a device that may or may not give off poison gas. You don't know if the cat's alive or dead till you open the box. Everybody knows that. We can eliminate those show-offs as well. Okay, I guess I'm a show-off. Anybody from this group is a wrong-sider. Okay, as mentioned before, there's a right-sider, there's a wrong-sider. Someone on the wrong side of the digital or informational divide. For those who, for various reasons, found it difficult to use information communication technologies like the internet. Ah yes, boomers. Lately, however, it's come to refer also to people who can't properly use the information they have, or are simply ignorant. On 2chan, the term is often used to refer to people whose understanding is incorrect or whose information is out of date. Wrong side. The right answer will be to describe the experiment and then say, it was a thought experiment proposed by Schrödinger to criticize the quantum mechanical theory that state collapse only occurs after human observation. It was also, well, Schrödinger also mentions that he didn't believe his own experiment, like he said basically his own thought experiment was stupid, you know, but barely anyone can do that. I mean, no, unless look, you gotta watch anime, then you'll know Schrodinger's. I imagine that I'm the only guy who's still in high school who knows that Schrödinger got the idea after exchanging letters of Einstein. Well, I mean, I guess if you know about that, I didn't know about that. Fine, you got me beat on that, buddy. I hate wrong-siders. Okay. I had taken a break from investigating the 2 incidents that had occurred recently in Shibuya. I was paging through some ad-channel blog aggregators for a change of pace. As always, articles about bad idols and corporations with terrible work environments were getting tons of hits. It was hard to believe that the crash of 15, a huge news story that had just happened this month, was already off the front pages. Right? I feel like I'm gonna do this the whole time. I don't know what that means. The largest solar storm recorded in history struck Earth on September 2015. Electronic failures, some panics, a large hole opened in Earth's electromagnetic shield, leaving Earth defenseless against a solar flare. Japan suffered little damage. Shibuya, in particular, suffered almost none. Crash of 15. Is that a reference to some other game in the Science Adventure series, maybe? I don't know. I remember something like that happened in Steins Gate, but I don't know if the timeline's right. Anyway. Did the people reading and commenting on these sites realize that everything they read about corporations and idols are carefully controlled? Did they know that the most of the big aggregator sites are corporations too? I mean, yeah. That's how it works. There's a lot of like subsidies, you know, a lot of corporations that are actually belong to another like bigger corporation, like Umbrella Corporation. So actually, sometimes two companies that seem like they're rivals are actually, you know, have the same boss. So, well, did they realize the comments were all manipulated to go one direction or another? Kids our age were living in a world where all the information you could never want was right at your fingertips. For those of us in the enlightened generation, ignorance was the worst sin. I keep breaking the flow, but what do you mean by that? Enlightened generation? 2010, born 1990s. No, they don't need. Act logically rather than putting unneeded effort. Okay, so basically the information age. You know, the power of the internet. The ignorant were self-righteous, easily manipulated, and eager to push their paper-thin worldview onto others. They were nothing but a nuisance. The worst of the lot were the so-called otaku. Oh no, that's me. But I couldn't stand otaku. They were wrong-siders. It's ironic, you know, because otaku are playing. Because this game is definitely marketed towards otaku, and you got a main character who hates otaku. Take the picture on the cover of this magazine. It was from Bloodtune. She kind of reminds me of Renge from Non Biori. Who's that? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Bloodtune, the other Strike Wizards. Strike Wizards? Like Strike Witches? Keep an eye on Aaron! Yay! Bloodtune, the animation. Originally a manga that was turned into an anime. 26 episodes now. You know, I feel like, I don't know, I can't remember. Was it like 26 episodes? I think Chaos Shell, like this visual novel, also had like anime adaptation with like 26 episodes. But again, it was like not good, as far as I know anyway, from the reviews I've looked at. People say, you know, don't watch the anime. Read this visual novel instead. Any otaku who just watched it for the cute characters was a loser. Wow. There's no point in watching shows if you're going to ignore its deeper themes. Okay. Wait a minute. You hate otaku, but aren't you the biggest otaku of them all? I don't know. I just feel like that's ironic. I couldn't stand people who still held to the old-fashioned idea that only otaku watched anime, but people who ignore a show's themes and just watch it for the cutscenes were even worse. Or cutscenes? No, not cutscenes. Actually, how do I activate the log? I think I said cuteness, not cutscenes. How do I say cutscenes? Is there a config? Yeah. No, that's not it. Help me! What's the log button actually? Illusion trigger. We'll see that later, I guess. Enter, select, backlog of the mouse. Backlog insert? That's a weird thing to press. Okay, oh, I can scroll the wheel, okay. Okay. Cuteness. Anyway. They were ignoring this implicit social criticism hidden in... Nani? My little sister is a hero from another world? Magical Academy Honaka? I stared at the magazine in amazement. Specifically, I stared at the box that listed the next episode previews. The text said that Eren was missing, or Erin? Dare wa Erin. Tips. Full name Erin Frey Orgo, a 10-year-old female character who appears in Bloodtune the animation. She speaks in a haughty, archaic manner and always looks down on others. The younger sister of Sarah Orgo, the main heroine, is also a princess of Star. Her catchphrase is "Insolent Fool." I guess. Naho Shoujo. damn it. I've let my guard down because I knew this episode was written by the guy who wrote the original manga.
この原作者は原作のことが分かっていない。
How could you remove Eren from the story halfway through? Not keeping her around meant bring all the internal drama that's been built up so far to a halt. God damn it! How can you ruin my anime? So much for my change of pace. I knew I had to work to on the case, but I put it away because I couldn't find any link between the two crimes. I thought for a moment, then took my magazine from its secret stash. It was an issue of an older magazine called Cool Cat Press. Okay? Cool Cat Press. People call it a dating guide for normies, written by someone who never dated a girl in his life, but you'd be surprised. I believe, well, I don't know, I can't remember. I believe in the official translation, instead of normies, it was normals. But, you know, the fan patch changed it back to normies. I believe in Japanese, it's not exactly normie, you know, the word doesn't really translate to normie, but it's more so, you know, slang. I believe it's raiju or something like that. You know, someone who basically who lives a fulfilling life. You know, somebody who's not an otaku, basically. But I guess normie is like the most closest thing you could like translate to, I guess, or localize to. Anyway, so never did get on his life, but you'll be surprised.
女性が必ず落ちる告白の言葉
Stupid. I knew it's stupid, but when I ran an internet search for their number one phrase, nothing came back. And that was the thing. The fact that it didn't show up on the internet meant, to me, that it was worth something. What's the phrase? Like, is it like...
誠に勝手なのですが、好きになってもいいですか
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, I thought it was gonna be like that, you know, that pickup line, you know. Did you hurt yourself? And then they ask, you know, what do you mean? When you fell from heaven, haha, you know, that cheesy pickup line.
何を
Schoolgirl.
何してんだ
Ah yes, first waifu of the game.